Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I'm here with November's Mix It Up Monday, a hop started by Anna with Peacecraft Love and Kimberly with I'd Rather Be Scrapbooking. And they pick a sketch and we try and do our hand at it. So this sketch is from Lynette. And it is I think it's Lynette Erickson, Stacks of Scraps blog spot. And I am going to use my November Killa Kit. And so I have brought in some of the papers from the Fernwood collection by Vicki Boutin, as well as a solid cardstock paper. And then I have these embellishments that I've pulled out, all the circular bits that I could find. There we go. This side's not as busy as all those circles. And I've pulled all of this stuff up here at the top from the Vicki Boutin Fernwood. And then I have this lovely flare from the Flare Hut. And then this one sticker that I pulled from the Simple Stories collection that is in this kit. And then I have this awesome sequins mix that my darling friend Anna from Peacecraft Love created. And some of that is from a creative ambassador kit, and some of it is from where I placed orders the month that was her sequins set. And then I have for my mixed media Distress Texture Paste in Crackle by Tim Holtz Ranger. And I have already used my Cricut to cut some circles from that background paper, and I'm documenting these two pictures. So this is my son sitting here and he is looking at how far away the Lincoln Memorial is. And then this is him actually after we got to the Lincoln Memorial looking at how far away the Washington Monument is, which is where we were headed back. So I'm hoping to get that texture paste on here and make this layout work for me. So I have my papers, my embellishments, my mixed media, my pictures in this awesome sketch. So let's see how this goes. So the first thing I did, I trimmed my paper down to an 11.5 by 11.5 because I want to mat it on that circular paper. Had I looked into it beforehand, I should have done it probably more like 11 by 11 so that more of the circular pattern on the background paper would show in the border, but that's okay. So I took some of the smaller circle and went ahead and traced around it so I'd have an idea of the circular pattern and where I wanted things to go. And so I think my circles are 3.5, 3, 2 3/4, and 2.5. So I made a few different sizes. And I'm just taking this crackled texture paste and kind of loosely smearing it around. Because I don't know where I'm placing things, I mostly fill in around the circle except for that one, which later you're going to see proved to be not a good call because that's the one part that you can see, but it's a fine. So then I get all that down and you can see right there I have a Ranger texture tool. And the first one I selected was not a good call because it was a wider little hump and it did not make the shape I wanted. So I originally started with the texture tool 5 and ended up using texture tool 4, which is a smaller. It gave more of a groove, and that is definitely what I wanted. So I am finished with that. I had to go clean up, so I cut like 5 minutes out of that. Plus it needs time to dry a little. And then I pulled out some tumbled glass in my Distress Oxide spray and just tap that around mostly on the circles because I know that there is mixed media splatters on her circles. But I wanted to get it mostly on the circles and also a little bit outside of the circles because I am covering parts of that with these, circles that I cut out. So first things first, like I said, let this sit for a while before I did this. Not a long while. It wasn't completely dry. Probably should have, but I'm impatient. So I put this down and I am using Nuvo Deluxe adhesive because a liquid adhesive on top of this texture paste for sure is the best way to go. There is going to be a little bit of a wrinkle or a bend in my paper from where the texture paste is, but I am perfectly fine with that. I just use some double-sided tape on the back as well as some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. So I'm just putting the circles down, and I want to make sure I save one of the bigger circles because it's the exact same size of this Dream Chaser that came from the Vicky Bouton collection. And I want to get that used, and this is the perfect layout because when we were at the World War II monument, which is where my son is sitting looking at the reflection pool and everything, looking down towards Lincoln Memorial, we were thinking, I don't think that I could make it that far because we'd already walked a lot and had been through some museums and everything. And so it looks like it's real far away, but it's even further than it looks. So if you've never been to Washington, D.C., make sure you take really comfortable shoes, which I had, and make sure that you drink lots of water and expect a lot of walking unless you get one of the tour buses, which we just didn't want to do. So, yeah, it was a lot of walking. We walked over 10 miles that day. So looking at the Lincoln Memorial from the Washington Monument was, or from where he was on the World War II monuments, it was a lot. So, and neither one of us felt like we wanted to go down there. But, I mean, we wanted to, but we knew that it was going to be a long walk. So, but that's okay. Obviously, we accomplished it because the other picture is him sitting at the very top of the Lincoln Memorial and at the top of all the stairs, which you can't really get a feel for in either one of these pictures. Phew, lots of pictures. Lots of steps. So I got that all down, and now I am taking my black soot Distress Oxide and splattering that because I wanted some of the splatters on top of the circles that I've put down. And so I get those down, and I've set my layout aside, and I want to let that dry, the ink, and give that texture paste a little more time. So I trimmed my pictures down a little bit. They're about 3 1/4 across and 4 3/4 tall because I knew if I left them at 4 by 6, they were going to cover up everything. And I do move mine over more than hers are on this sketch because I didn't want to cover all the circles and all the texture paste that I had just created. I should have moved that, not the Dream Chaser, but the circle right below that, the big circle below that. I should have put that up higher and over to the left, but it didn't, and that's fine. It worked out fine, and I love the way it ended up. It just was not, exactly like this sketch, which is fine. So I get that down there. I did not make you watch me go through watching me attach this, cover the front page with the background paper because there's such a warp on that right side where the texture paste is. I had to do a lot of glue and a lot of tape. So here is where I'm trying to decide exactly where I want to put these. Like I said, I wanted to make sure that the texture paste was showing at least a little of it from all 4 of these spaces. And you can see where the part I did not have texture paste on is the part that's showing up there on the top of that right circle. That's okay because it ends up working out because my title is going to end up going right there, and it would have been a pain if that had to sit on top of the texture paste. So now I am trying to find a place to see if I can use the rest of these circles. I don't use them all. I have a couple more. Sure, I could have put them on here, but I didn't want to cover any more texture paste. I didn't want it to go any further over to the left, and the bottom is already going to have the rest of that acetate piece with the little gold polka dots and everything on it. So I felt like this was plenty because I'm going to add a ton of more circles in other ways with my embellishments in that pack of sequins as well as my flare. So I pull out the embellishments and I get started. I know I'm putting all these circles on here because there's circles all over. I'd selected this little tab because it has the circular thing that says noted. And so, and I knew that I was already going to have that color on the layout with the paper and that acetate circle, because it's at the top and the bottom, because it's one of the ones that got cut off. So I just put the circles on here. One of them says the best, and then one is just one of those pie charts. And then I put my flare from the Flare Hut right here, and it's got some coppery color, and I'm going to bring some of that in with some of the sequins in just a little while. So I have copper and gold, and I don't have a problem with that. And really, I think, depending on how you look at it, some of the sequins I use are like a silvery gold color. So I am going to have lots of metal on here. So I put that word "you" on there. That did come from the Fernwood collection. I don't have much left in the aspect of titles because I've used so much, but it only is going to be part of the title. So I could have left that Dream Chaser as the title, but I have these two little pieces of washi. One says "What If" and the other one says "Today." So I'm going to get those laid down, and I'm putting them right above the word "you" because I'm going to finish up this title with my Mondo Llama alphas that I got from Target. And so the whole title is going to be "What If Today You Can," because like I said, we were staring at how far away the Lincoln Memorial was, and it seemed like 20 miles. And then when we got done climbing all the stairs at the Lincoln Memorial, we knew that the place we were going to eat was on the other side of the Washington Monument, so we had to go back. So we were very brave and decided that we could do it, and we did. So like I said, we walked almost 11 miles that day. It's a lot of walking, a lot of standing around, depending on where you go. So, but it was well worth it. We had a really good time. And so now I am going to grab something to pour my sequins on so that I can get to them. I just pulled one of the postcards that I brought back from Arlington National Cemetery. And I'm not going to use the teal in here. There's not a whole lot left. I used a bunch of them already. But I am going to use the green and a couple of different kinds of orange. One is like a see-through and the other one is more shiny. And then I end up pulling in these little silver gold is what I'm going to say, because depending on the lighting, it looks a little bit of both. And so I'm just putting those down all around, and then I bring in these very small kind of coppery colored sequins. They're just itty bitty, and I'm putting those down in the middle where I normally would put like a Nuvo drop or a stickle or something like that to cover a little hole. I just put those down there because they bring that copper color back into the layout. And I've put some word phrases down at the bottom that came from the collection. And so now I'm done. I really do love how this turned out. I was a little worried because it was a lot of busy. And I was adding a whole lot of stuff, but I really do love this. And I love, now that it is completely dry, you will be able to see the crackle in that texture paste, which is really fun. And so, especially on the bottom, I don't know how well you can see it on the top parts, but on the bottom circle, half circle, you can. So I hope you all will go and check out all the other amazing crafters who are creating with the Mix It Up Monday. There will be a link below, either a playlist or a link for all of their YouTube channels. Yep, there's the crackly bit right there. You can see it the best. So thank you for joining me and for sticking with me. And I hope that you'll come back again for some more layouts. I'll be working on this November Kill-A-Kit all month until I am done with it. So I hope that you all have a fabulous day and happy scrapping.